So a year ago, Geoff was here talking about Spectra and some of the Pacific Grow fish products. But we've had an ongoing trials up and down the state and in partnership with Tidal Grow about their chitosan product. And Geoff is going to bring us a little bit more results from what they have found for the year. So all yours. If you would like to use this, clicking downward will get you, and you got a pointer there too if you need it.
Okay, I'll try to figure this out.
Perfect.
Well, yeah, well, thank you very much. First and foremost, I definitely want to thank NRG for inviting us here. I've been working with first Tom and then John for over 25 years, up and down the state of California and actually on the West Coast. In addition to the Intermountain West, I come from Twin Falls, Idaho, but my career started here in California. I've been a PCA and a CCA for over 30 years, and I worked in 7 states on over 85 different crops, and I've enjoyed every moment of it. I started with the chemical industry, but quickly found that, and I was kind of a maverick, which put me on a kind of a weird footing in the chemical industry, because even though I do believe in chemistries, I also felt that there was my mentors were some of the pioneers in the integrated pest management field, working with predatory mites and working with cover crops and working with catch crops. So I come from the conventional and the organic world, and I see a blend of both. So,
Could you step into the mic just a little bit?
oh, step into the mic more.
You can manipulate that around.
Can I just? Is this better?
Yes.
Okay.
You're welcome.
So I have a real perspective. I believe in that God did give us an amazing earth, and He gave us incredible, robust systems of health and regeneration. And so that's kind of where I've set my course over the last 30 plus years in agriculture, which brings me to this company. This company contacted me a couple of years ago and said, hey, we would like you to kind of introduce our chitosan technology into California. And me being the guy I am, I agreed to do it under certain circumstances, which they agreed to, and that was we'll get all these trials out, we'll take a look at it the way the farmers look at it, we'll look at insects, diseases, we'll look at all kinds of crops in all kinds of areas, because we need to have products that not only work in one place but work all over, and they have to work under all these different types of conditions. And I also said that if it works, you're going to hear about it. If it doesn't work, we're not going to hide the results. They agreed to that, which most companies might not. But I told them, I said, if I'm going to introduce something that I believe in into California with all these customers I've worked with for 30 plus years, then, you know, it just is going to be what it is, right? And so Tidal Grow is an incredible company. They're a bunch of young people, really smart at what they do. They come from all different walks of life. They're out of Bellingham, Washington, but they're a true chitosan company. They harvest the crab and shells from the sea, and they bring them in, and instead of dumping them all into a waste, they take them and they extract the chitin out of that, and then through a process, a deacetylation process, they make pure chitosan. Now, what sets them apart is that they're a true chitosan company. They've isolated over, well, I'm going to say about 1,500 different molecular weights of chitosan that do different things. Now, the really cool thing about chitosan or chitin is it's the second most ubiquitous molecule in the world. It's next to cellulose. It's everywhere. It's insect skeletons, fungi. You know, it's everywhere all the time. But what makes it unique is that at different molecular weights, it does different things. So it's one of the most studied and underutilized chemistries that we have. But what I found over the last several years, it's one of the most incredibly unique and constructive chemicals I've used in a long time. So Tidal Grow, again, is we have 3 divisions. We just recently raised $100 million, and you know we're building our inventory and our people and our company. But we have 3 divisions, and I work in the agri-science division. We also have a water treatment division where instead of using chemicals to treat water, we actually use chitosan, which again is biodegradable, and it's an incredible technology. We also have a textile part where instead of using these forever chemicals to treat things, we're now using chitosan to treat some of these things, and we're getting amazing results. All safe to the environment, safe to people, safe to animals, incredible. So I'm proud to be a part of that. Well, how about this? There we go. We'll go old school. So again, Tidal Grow is agri-sciences. We design novel agricultural solutions to help the farmers in crop production, and we're improving that almost every day. What I came to talk about is Spectra. Now, Spectra was supposed to be introduced into California. I've been introducing it for the last couple of years, but we were supposed to receive registration this last year. We haven't. When are we going to receive registration? Not sure. But we are registered in 48 other states, 49 now. And I've worked with chitosan in Idaho, Washington, Oregon, Montana, and Utah. And we're going to talk a little bit about not only that, but what I have done here in California. Now, we talk about Spectra. It's a unique fungicide, bactericide, nematicide. Those are pretty bold statements. So when I first saw that label, when Kevin Hamill handed me the label, I was really skeptical, because biopesticides, to make those kind of claims, we've been through that for how many years, and we've gone through how many products and what works and what doesn't work, right? And I found that reductionist theory doesn't work really well in biological situations. So what I found over the last 30 plus years is things work in systems. So what I did is I took this concept and we put it into a system, and we tested all reduction by itself, and then we also tested it and put it together with different types of products, fish and different types of biology with trichoderma or with some bacillus or whatever it is we did, using different types of products that are offered by different manufacturers, suppliers, and retailers, because everybody has their own product line, and some are good and some just aren't, right? But it's their product line. So we did find that stimulates growth, boosts yields, and activates natural defenses. And that's really where the chitosan product is valuable, because it doesn't really attack anything in and of itself, but it elicits responses from chitinase enzymes. And those chitinase enzymes do amazingly different things depending on what they're working on, okay? So we've got 3 modes of action that we talk about. We've got the membrane disruption, where we have a negative, the negative charged negatively charged microbial cell combines with the chitinase, a positive charged chitinase enzyme, and it'll actually attack it and break it through. We also have RNA interference, where it's inhibition of fungal growth via RNA synthesis blockage, which I find really cool. If you really break that down, the science behind that's really cool. And then direct mechanism, where it actually will attack the mouth parts and or the chitin of the nematode, eggs, or the mouth. And we've actually we did some amazing stuff this year in potatoes against VAPAM, treated and untreated. And we had as good or better results against a fumigant. Now, we're going to replicate that again, but if we can replicate that again and get the same results, can you imagine not having to use fumigants and still control nematodes, fusarium, verticillium, pythium, wireworm? Yeah, pretty exciting stuff. So I'm just going to leave this slide up here because it's my last slide, but now I'm going to talk about some of the things we went through. Because the technology that we have is, we have what we call the Spectra technology, which is, and the GenMax, which is a seed treatment, which is another formulation of chitosan, which we actually put on seeds. And when you talk about 0.1 ounces per 100 pounds of seed, and when I first saw that, I said, what? How do you even measure that, right? How do you even get that on a seed? But we actually did that, and we've had some pretty spectacular results. We actually put that same amount on potato seeds to treat them. And of course, instead of using 0.1 ounces, when you're putting out 3,500 pounds of seed, you're 3 or whatever it was, 3 ounces. But still, it was a pretty amazing result. So first thing, here in California, this year, obviously, we've looked at it in tomatoes and carrots and onions, and we've looked at it in peaches, plums, nectarines, cherries. We've looked at it in all kinds of different types. But let's talk about almonds real quick. So in almonds, what we did was, yes, we see a greater response. Yes, we see higher sap. Yes, we see all those things. But we also saw, in combination with biopesticides and also in combination with normal pesticides, we saw increased efficacy in disease efficiency. But what really caught our attention was, I said, well, let's really put it to the test. So we have a grower up in the North Valley, and we've done three different areas with three different, with 2 growers, but 3 locations. And we actually saw, well, what can we do with navel orangeworm? Because we have we don't have a solution for navel orangeworm, right? We spray, we still have problems, right? So I said, well, what if we just give it a shot and let's put some Spectra in with our navel orangeworm applications? We went from 10% damage to 4.9% damage. Well, that may not be a lot, that may not be a huge percentage wise, but that was a big deal. And we replicated that in 3 different locations where we had that kind of control. Why? We don't know, right? We just don't know yet. A lot of speculations, but on the disease side, makes sense. On the plant stimulation side, taking up more nutrition, makes sense. We've got plenty of sap data for that. We've got plenty of other data for that. Tomatoes, we did a really good job in processing tomatoes. We increased the yields by, we went from 47 to 50 or 47 to 50 ton, which may not be a big difference, but where we really made the difference was in the fact that we had higher sugars and we had higher solids, okay? That was a big deal, and we used less fungicides because we had better plant health. So that was a big deal, right, here in California. On the peaches, plums, and nectarines, we did that in application, and these were all under what we call research authorizations because it's not registered in California yet. So we've been doing this. Strawberries over on the coast, we did a really good job on Botchespharia. So we're looking at those kind of deals. So we've done some really good, but what's really exciting is some of the work that we've done the last couple of years up in the Pacific Northwest, because it is registered there, and so we could really take a look at it hard. And one of the things we did this year was we worked with several large operations, some Hutterite colonies. We worked with several big growers, smaller growers, but we did a lot of work on potatoes, onions, and seed carrots. And the responses were across the board nothing less than phenomenal. And I'm going to give an example. And I am here's hand to the square. If I didn't see it, didn't participate in it, wouldn't believe it. But we had the opportunity to where we were fumigating these fields, and then it started to rain and rain and rain and rain, and we just couldn't finish the fumigation process before we got to the planting dates. And so we were able to take fields at 120 acre pivot that we still couldn't fumigate 20 acres. So we had some large growers that were willing to give us the opportunity to take our Spectra and to put it out. And we were supposed to put the Spectra out in combination with Vidate, right? In order to go after the nematodes. But instead, we left out the Vidate, and we put on applications in furrow. We put on applications all through the pivot. We put on 4 applications, with two at 22 ounces and 2 at 11 ounces in combination with fertilizer and some other things. But at the end of the day, we had, in those treated areas, we had almost no disease, which we were spraying, for fungicides. We had almost no whitefly, almost no aphid. We had one grower that actually got on the phone with a bunch of our investors in Europe and actually told these investors over the phone, yes, my spuds right to the row where we sprayed the Spectra and where we put the Spectra in furrow and where we put the Spectra through the pivot. The Colorado potato beetles started to feed and died. We were crunching them under our feet. Right to the row where we didn't have the Spectra and we had Colorado potato beetle that we had to spray. Now, if I didn't see that, and if the grower didn't tell me that, I wouldn't have believed it, right? So we're seeing all kinds of things, and we're putting this to the test. But this technology, and again, it's not just, our Spectra is a combination of several different molecular weights of chitosan that goes into our product. So it has all kinds of different responses. We had another grower who, we tried to hire a CRO. We tried to hire a contractor to go out and do some applications on rust and grain, because rust is a huge problem up in the Northwest. The Palouse, it just starts and goes from west to east, and Montana just wipes everything out. We have no the pesticide applications are okay, but they don't do that well. We had the lady who's a professional, who we wanted to pay the contractor to do some rust applications with, she wouldn't do it. We said, well, why, we're going to pay you to do it. Why wouldn't you do it? Because it's going to fail. I'm not going to take it out on someone's farm and have it fail. So we had a Hutterite who has been using our Spectra, and he really liked what he saw. So he said, hey, we got problems with rust, and we don't know what to do. So you know what? We're going to go out, we're going to spray that, and we're going to take a look at it. And I'm not mocking him. I love these people. I have fun with them. I love the way they talk. And he says, so we went out and we sprayed it, wiped it out. I'm putting it on everything next year. So again, 5 minutes? Yeah, I can talk forever, but again, the point is we're looking at it in all kinds of different ways, with all kinds of different applications. But what we do know for sure is that when we apply it with biology, and when we apply it with different types of products, I have another customer that loves to, he put it with yucca, and he put it with some Tidal Grow, and then we use some other stuff. And I mean, it was amazing, and we saw things to the row. The sap analysis, we had the highest levels of nitrogen, we had the highest levels of micronutrients. Even when we were, which Jenny will tell you, everything is OS phosphate deficient. We still had solid phosphate numbers across the board in our onions, and our carrots, and our dry edible beans. That was amazing. No mites. In onions, no white mold. Thrip levels, where we used our chitosan, our Spectra technology, we had less than 5 per leaf on the untreated, and on the treated, and in the untreated region, which was a grower standard, they were still spraying, and they still had 20 to 30 strips per. I mean, it's just unbelievable, right? So again, if I didn't see it, I wouldn't believe it. The soil health part is great, but I recommend that when it finally does come into California, you got to take a look at it. I mean, now Tom here, he represents Organisan. It's another chitosan technology, a company. But the chitosan technology, I will stand here and I will tell you, in 35 years, I have not worked with a product that it does so many different things if used properly. And if understood, and everything has its limitations, right? Everything has its limitations. So I'm not going to stand here and tell you it's going to solve everything and regrow my hair. Okay, I'm not going to tell you that. But what I am going to tell you is utilize properly with different types of products and in systems, biological systems. It is a kick trash product. And it's kick trash technology, and it will change. I do believe that this particular technology, we will actually shift agriculture over the next 10 to 15 years. I absolutely believe that, because again, when I saw what it did against Vapam, and what I saw what it did against Kpam, I know that it can do the same thing against Tilone, and we can get rid of these fumigants, because it's the fungicides that are killing us. It's the fungicides are the reason why we have all the problems we have in agriculture. So we can get rid of those fungicides and replace them with this kind of technology in our systems. Wow. Can we get healthy again? I mean, make America healthy again, right? Right? I'm in. So anyway, again, I'd like to thank NRG. Yeah. Because we're gonna have Ricky Schneider. He's gonna be sitting on the panel. Andy will be here to answer questions too. But if you have any quick questions, yes, sir. Okay, so one application isn't going to do it. Multiple applications does it. Earlier the better. Everything that we did was in the first half of the plant's and or critical point of influence in its development, whether it was permanent crops and or agronomic crops. It's not a rescue product. It can work as that way, but it's better to not use it. The earlier the better, and preventative is always best. Okay.
So using it every 4 weeks?
Usually every 21 to 28 days. Yeah. And we actually were able to extend. In fact, the potato grower said, "Well, why would I give up my pesticides, my seed treatments?" Because I got on the flip side. We were able to extend our applications of our pesticides up front to where we didn't put on 2 applications. So that saved me $120 an acre, and I only spent $82 with you, and I got this much more. So, yeah, it's interesting. And we have one application where we went $650 with Vapam and $82.50 with the chitinase product. How many times would a grower like to do that? Right, so that's why this grower, we have several growers that they'd like to put it on everything, but again, it's walk before you run. Got to replicate it, got to make sure it works. So anyway, John, thank you so much. Cheryl, thank you so much. NRG. I love these guys, they're amazing. They brought the cool, they make my life so cool. And it made my life so cool. I love you, brother.
Jeff. Thank you.